here I am. Defender man. Duh. My dad said, son, you gotta get rid of D's, does, and dums. You can't use those words when you talk anymore. Just make sure you use the right word there. I said, well, what's that, Father? And he goes, for the D's, it's these. For the does, it's those. And for the dums, keep your mouth shut. Okay. But anyways, he was a comedian. Oh, the greatest comedian I think that ever walked the earth. He was a great comedian. Yeah. And he walked into a bar. Oh, everybody's, Donnie, come on over here. Come on, sit down. We'll buy you a drink. Tell us a joke. Come on, Donnie. Donnie, good guy, his name was. So anyways, that was the last I saw him. 1985. He died in 94, I think it was, yeah. He was 64 years old. He was born in 1930. And I was born 1950. So he was 20 years old when I was born. My mother was 19. She's a year younger than my father when I was born. So, and they got married a year before that. They got married. You know, that's the only way he can keep her from going back into the orphanage is if he married her. And he wasn't forced into doing that. My mother was a beautiful woman. I mean, there's no doubt about it. She was very pretty. My dad was a young Irishman, all sparkly-eyed, MP, Mr. Chivalry, you know, don't mess with me. That type of attitude. And sometimes I watched him get his butt kicked really good because he did it with great big guys. And sometimes them guys were wrestlers. He didn't know it. They were real wrestlers. They put him in a chokehold and put him down, twist his legs up. One guy took it. Are you going to quit or aren't you? And my dad's, I'll get up, I'll kill you. You know? And he says, okay. And he whack. He broke his leg. My dad was walking around the floor that evening when he came home. He was inebriated. And he's stomping his leg on the floor like that, up and down. And it was broke. He says, why did he break my leg? And he's smashing it even more. Boy, does that alcohol. God, it's unbelievable what it does to your brain. Thank God he delivered me from it. Oh, man. Thank you, Jesus. I'm not going to go into all of it, but I have been no alcohol since I entered my 30s. No alcohol, except for a glass of wine now and then. And it's a taste of beer that my brother-in-law might have. I'm not going to come on, I'm prudy and all that stuff. Well, I don't drink, I never drank. I drank when I was a kid, just like everybody else that was a little bit unruly, and we all were. And I got into juvenile delinquency control, history and case, and worked it. I worked with them. Some of them kids, you gotta get in there and mix it up with them. They don't respect you. You know? I was accused of mixing it up with a kid once. And I did. If I would have hit him, he would have been down and they would have had the ambulance there or something like that. But no. We had a boxing bag set up in the room. And every time you got acted up, you had to go to timeout, and there was 3 booths. And it was all pink. They said something about pink was a soothing color back there. So it was all pink, painted pink. And I don't know if they had it cameraed or not. in it or not. But I had a kid in there and he confronted him. He was moving around in a heavy bag and moving around, and I got around and I started huffing it with him, and, like a not arm wrestling, but like a fighter does. But I wasn't going wham, wham, like Mike Tyson or something. No, I'm just nice and easy, open hand, boom, boom, boom. One time I gave him a real good one once. I would say about one third of my power, what I could really do. But I gave him just a little bit, like oh, it didn't hurt him. He kind of like laughed at it because yeah, this guy, my teacher's beating me up. He went back and told my supervisor that I beat him up in the timeout room, which was bullcrap. I didn't beat him up. And the supervisor knew that if I would have beat him up, they would have called an ambulance and stuff, So, I mean, you could get, say if one was acting up really bad, you went over and pulled his ear, boy, you could go to jail for that crap. Nowadays. Heck, when I was a kid, they had a ruler in the closet in the back where everybody hung their coats, and it had 2 doors on it. And the teacher would say, in the closet right now. I told you twice, now get in the closet. And you gotta get up, you walk to the closet, and she'd come back there, and she'd make sure that it was loud enough so everybody could hear it. Whack! That's the way they did it back then. Spare the rod, you spoil the child. And look at what's happening to our system, our school system now. I'm not saying in all cases now. I'm saying in the majority of these low-income families, they don't discipline their kids. Maybe there are some, there's exceptionals, but because they don't have parents. They have a mother or they might have a father, but they don't have them two together. I ran into that quite a bit when I had a really kid that, was kind of like defiant. And, I'm Mr., don't mess with me. I'll have the school after you. That type guy, right? There was guys like that. I caught this one kid. He was the prize of the man that I took the place of. He was an Englishman, and he had his favorites, but this one kid he was working really special with. And he was unruly. And I didn't know about it because he was the leader. Everybody followed him. He was a good-looking kid, and he was husky, strong. He was a leader. Well, I came out of my classroom one day, and after I got my job as the director of physical education at Good Shepherd School down in Florida, I walked out and went around the building, and there he is in the keyhole of the principal's office with a knife trying to open up the lock so he could get in. And I snuck up on him, I stood behind him. I says, "You having any luck?" He looked around. I said, "What are you doing?" I says, "Man," "do you realize you can get in big trouble doing this stuff?" And I failed to take the knife. I can't recall. I don't know if I said, "Now give me that knife." I didn't reprimand him and stuff. I made him fold up his blade and put it in his pocket. And don't let me catch you doing that again, or next time you're going to pay sister a visit. And that was the one thing that I failed to do. I should have informed sister of what he did. Because I didn't. I kept it. And just to gain his confidence, hey, he's on my side type attitude I was trying to do. And it did pay off in the future. I'll tell you how it did. So he was the favorite of this guy that I took the spot of. He had invented this little soccer ball about that big. It was on the end of a rope, and all colored soccer ball, black and white, checked. And you tie it around your waist and you kick it, and it went out. And it had enough loop and enough length and all that. You could adjust the rope and all that to where you could stand there and kick it with one foot. I mean, it was an exercise machine for a kid. That if he wanted to develop perceptual and motor development, gross motor skills, man, that was number one. He didn't realize to approach it that way though, because he went off. He was glad I showed up because now he could be free to go market his little ball on the string. Well, they started popping up all over the country. Everybody had one of those. They made them out of tennis balls and wrapped them around and made them out of softballs. Those little rubber softballs, about that big. You could tape, glue and tape or something like that. Well, you could put a hole in it, stick it through, because those little rubber softballs, they were just hollow on the inside. They weren't under pressure. So you can put a little hole in it and put your rope in there. I'm wondering how you could tie that. Yeah, well, you could make it go through the whole thing, go in, and tie a knot. Well, I don't know. The only thing you could do, I was thinking about it, if you had to do it, and you didn't have the machinery and all that stuff doing it ahead of time, so they put that rope in there and then, put the machine down around it and form the ball and pop it out, and then you got a ball with a rope, and you don't have to worry about the rope coming out of the ball unless you're going around. Well, we used to put them, I did. I don't know if anybody else did, but I was trying to help the kids' eye and hand coordination. See, a child cannot play ping pong when they're 7 years old. When they turn 8-ish, late 7, 8-ish, but before that, don't try to teach your child how to play ping pong. He doesn't have the depth perception yet. That's grown in. Now, there are exceptions. But I'm saying, myself could be one of those. I was very ambidextrous and both hands. I didn't know if I was right-handed or left-handed. When I went to Little League, when I was 10 years old, 9 years old, they said, "You got a glove?" I said, "Yeah, I know I don't have a glove." "Well, what are you, left-hand, right?" "I don't care. I can do it with either hand." So he gave me a right-handed mitt, which I'm dominantly left-handed because I learned in the future, how to do dominance. When you get a kid and you're looking at him, and you say to him, "Do you know what eye you are? Do you know what hand you are, or what foot you are that you always use?" And it depends on his age, because sometimes you got to make him just react to show you what he does. You say, "Okay, here, kick that. Go over there and kick that." And you go over there and you see what foot he kicks it with, and then have him do it 10 times. He might a couple times kick it with the other foot, just to be. He don't know what's going on, but you can establish dominance, so he's left-footed. And then the right hand. Now you have fine motor skills, writing your name, and then you have gross motor skills. Arm wrestling, all that stuff. All gross motor skills. Turning your head is a gross motor skill. Like this, or stretching yourself. You got to do that when you're old. Oh, if you don't do that, you'll freeze up, and they'll put you in a casket and try to stretch you out so you fit in there because you're in a ball. You got to stretch. That's what I do. I got my little timer. Ooh, that reminds me, I got to set it. Okay, 30 minutes from now, I got to get up and stretch. You don't do that, you feel it. And over the years, it probably take its toll. Like today is the first Friday of the month, which in Catholics, they do first Fridays and first Saturdays. Some of them do the 5 Saturdays each month. Excuse me. Oh, I saw a priest do that. What I just did, because I just ate. I saw a priest do that. Right in the middle of Mass, he was bending down to bow to the host and all that stuff, and he burped and upchucked in his throat. You could tell. And I go, oh my God. And he was big and heavy too. So he was gluttonous. Evidently, I didn't see him gluttony, but you can tell a tree by its fruit, right? Well, that's what and I'm not telling you who it was or whatever. You just observe. You'll see when you see people. When somebody does something, and there's 6 of us. 6 guys my age or whatever, been through, they got a 4-year degree, and they analyze therapy, psychotherapists, analyze behavior. And mine was Freud's, he had this thing about, it will come to me, okay, because it's all down in there. It's all down in there, and when I need it, it pops up. The Holy Spirit grabs it. Oh, the Holy Spirit. I'm telling you, you give to God, and He'll give back a lot more than what you give. And He says, if you follow my way, read the Word, receive communion, confess your sins, and keep your eyes off the Jezebel world. Because it's a Jezebel world. Everybody is looking at what you're looking at and then thinking their own thoughts. And that's why I want to get back to the 10 guys lined up in a row. And they're looking at this one child doing something in the middle of the floor. I'm just using that as a metaphor, scenario. And then you have them sit down and write what the child did. And what you thought his intentions were while he was doing it. All right? Can you see what I'm talking about? Who's going to write the same thing? Basically, the concept will be same, but the same thing, no one's going to write the same thing, what they see is happening in front of them. And that's the point I'm trying to get. Everybody looks at me right now. Who is this guy? What's he doing all this stuff for? I don't know, I'm experimenting. I love to experiment. And I can write a book if I want, discipline myself. I've had Grammarly for years. They corrected me, always giving me hundreds, telling me I'm doing very well, and continue on, bringing the money in every year. I had problems with them because they get their free Grammarly mixed up with their premium. And I bought the premium, and all I got was the free. And I kept on telling them, hey, you got to eliminate the free. I says, well, how do you do that? And they sent email after email trying to get me to do it, and I still couldn't do it. I mean, you have to be some type of a tech, pay the $200 to some AOL assist program where they have all those techs there, which at first, when they first opened up, I haven't tried them lately, but the Geek Squad around here took over with Best Buy. Best Buy, you can't, if you don't have a Best Buy card or the Geek Squad, a member of the Geek Squad, your chances of getting intensive work done on your computer or whatever that it is, unless you bought it there and was under warranty, you're going to be waiting in line a long time, because I was a member for 3 years, $200 a year. I didn't use them. It was a waste of money, I thought at the end. I says, at least they would answer their phone and do some work on the phone and take over the computer like AOL One Assist there. Man, that's a program. But over the years, I was a couple years, I noticed that the high-tech people they used to have that could figure out everything right away, they got swooped up by some other company for a lot more bigger money than just being a tech on a telephone. I mean, these guys that know their stuff and they're working their way up the ladder, I lucked out with AOL Assist. It was a brand new program. I paid $200 and thought I was getting a deal. I had one guy take over my computer, and I went out to dinner and came back. He was 3.5 hours on there, and he had the whole thing fixed. And it was a mess. I'm not kidding you. Now, I've been with computers since 72. I'm the DOS. I'm a DOS man. Okay. I'm the guy that walked around with a big ticker tape about as that big. Looked like I was playing the stock market or something. That type of a spool, you know? And that's what you would feed into your computer. Say you wanted to land a spaceship on Mars. Yeah, program. Well, you had to feed it into the computer first because it just wasn't there. It didn't have the memory or the thing that I have now. Oh my God, the technology. And that's what I'm going to get at in a minute of why I am writing a song. Finally, in the eve of my life, I'm writing a song with the state-of-the-art technology. I invested money. And I said, I'm going to write some songs. We have a songbook out called The Songs of the Pilgrim People. And St. Leo Abbey, down in St. Leo, there was a priest down there. He had a master's degree in music education. And we played the folk group at the church he said mass at, where he stayed. Also, his rectory was at the church, Sacred Heart Church in St. Joe, Florida. And my wife and I played the folk group, and we were rinky-dink, we stunk. But we practiced enough to where we can get 4 songs to where they were presentable. Because we didn't have any knowledge of how to read music or anything like that. And here we are, protege or music ministry to the diocesan music director, Father Paul Ron, who's passed on by now. I don't know. I haven't researched his history. He used to put out a paper every year about what he did during the year. And I missed all those issues. I'm going to see if I can get them, because I know he probably posted them where somebody wanted to request one. He put a lot of work in it. I mean, those were dissertations like for a doctorate's degree. I mean, he wrote books every year about everything he did all year long, kept notes and all that. Now that's being organized. That's why he has a master's degree in music, because I'm not organized like that. I don't have the discipline. No way. I have trouble sitting down and practicing. The reason why I'm as good as I am, and I'm not that great, is because I've played 50 some years now. 1971. I was 21. Oh, I have a picture here somewhere. Oh, I wish it was right up. But, I don't plan anything. I just come across it. I said, oh, this would be something I could show. But it's on my site. You can see me. I got Christ. He's here. And I'm here, 21 years old, playing the guitar, classical, Giannini. The same one I have right here in the back. 21. 21 from 23. That's a 2. Am I a 4th grader yet? How about 3rd grade? I used to know how to do this real good. That's the first time I've ever tried to subtract mentally, verbally, in a while. So if I take 1971 and 2021, how many years is that? 30, 40, no, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? Close to 50 years? 40, 50? I've been playing the guitar, 50 years. I got married in 69, I was 19. Still a teenager. I made a life commitment. I fell in love. I'm not going to say she trapped me or something, I hunted around. I went out with other women that were not a lot nicer built than her, too. But they didn't have the heart that I was looking for. I was looking for a heart that had empathy and forgiveness and devotion and kindness, and motherly, feed my spirit type thing. I was looking for something like that. But I didn't know what I was looking for. When I experienced it, I said, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, now I see, yeah. Because I look back at it now at 73, way back at 21, and I was playing classical guitar at 21. I was John Michael Talbot. I was playing his guitar pieces. The one I liked the best was called The Painter. And I played it for a priest one time, a priest that worked with me since I was a kid and up through the ages and stuff. And it looked like he was trying not to cry because he knew me and what happened to me all through my life. Because I told him everything. He knew everything about me. He knows things about me my wife doesn't know. And I've forgotten them. I've forgotten all the things that my wife don't know now. So I look at her and she looks at me and she goes, wow, I don't think it was worth it. I know. She loves me. We're 58 years together, 15 years old. We're 73 now. That's 58 years. I met her at a swimming pool. I looked at her. When she walked away from me after I met her, I looked at her and a voice in my head said, there's the woman you're going to marry. And I couldn't, I'm telling you that's the truth. It happened to me. I prayed. I was hitchhiking one night. I said, God, I'm sick and tired going to this girlfriend's house and that girlfriend's house. Is there somebody that I can love that will love me, so I don't have to be searching all over the place, And then an old girlfriend of mine introduced me to 11-year-old girlfriend. She was 11-year-old. And we were virgins, But she introduced me to Susie. She says, Bill, I want you to meet Susie. And Susan, the woman's name was Susan that introduced me to my Susan. And she went on, I don't know what happened to her. I know her brother was pretty good friends of mine, and he just had a death in the family, and things ain't really the best they could be. But I don't want to talk about sorrow right at the moment. I'm talking about, this is the way it was back when I was 21. After I went to Vietnam at 19 and got out of service in 74, honorably discharged, and went to school on the GI Bill, and I had problems. If you watch some of my tapes, you'll see the sacrifices I made. And I verbally come out and tell him, how could he tell us that? Oh my goodness. Oh, what is it? I'm going to die probably. Who knows? If God fixed my back, I think I got another 70 in me. I'm going to be hop, skipping, and jumping around if he fixes my back. Now, it's a possibility too, because I'd say 3.5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I was in a wheelchair. And I couldn't get up out of it without extreme shooting pain up and down my back. Oh my goodness. Into my hips. And that was after I had different stages. I went and had fasciot shots done. They only do a couple at a time, because if they do 8 of them, they can't tell which one was the right one that they did it in that killed the pain. So they only do 1 or 2. They can differentiate between the 2, where's the pain, I don't know where they do it, like one up here and one down here, or one right next to each. I don't know what they do. But in my case, I watched it in an oscilloscope. what they did. They made a movie of it. And when I came out of my twilight, as I was awake and while they were doing the whole show, they stuck a needle in my back, facet shot. And I says, he's looking at the oscilloscope. And I says, oh, this right in the area. So he puts the oscilloscope, he's looking right in there. And he sticks the needle in and he hits it right between the eyes. And I'm thinking, how did he know right where to go? Wow. Because I felt it. I go, oh, right between the eyes. You got it. You got it. And he let it go. And in a couple of days, the pain was gone. But you know how he found it? And there's no documentation of it. I was in the hospital after Vietnam, Agent Orange and all that crap. I was froze up in the hospital. Teeth and everything. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. So I'm laying in bed, and this doctor comes in. He's got the white gown on with the stethoscopes and picks up my chart. He says, Mr. Nixon, he says, we've got to have a spinal tap from you. If we don't do it, we won't know what's wrong with you. We got to get some spinal fluid out of you. I said, oh, darn. I says, well, she said, it won't hurt. I'll numb the area, and you won't feel much pain. You'll be able to handle it. And he was a big, tall, dark guy. He looked like he was from Arab. He was an Arab country. He was over here on getting his education because at Syracuse University is a hospital school for doctors and all that stuff. All the interns come out of Syracuse University. You might have a doctor working on you in that area, and who's actually doing the work is an intern under the doctor's name and supervision. They train the VA, that is. I mean, if you want your own private care and all that stuff, you can pay for it and your insurance and all that. But they watch out, they'll sneak them in there. They got proteges that they want to train. Hey, I need some help, man. I'll pay you good money if you learn how to do it. And who knows what happens? You know, they learn how to do it and serve 7 years or something like that and move off and get their own show. That's what happens in all businesses. I've trained lots of carpenters and everything, you know, to help me out and this and that. They're off doing their own show. You know, you might specialize in windows. You might specialize in putting siding on or just putting trim on, hammering down a roof or something. They specialize in one area. And that's what I did most of my life. I was a trainer, contractor, carpentry. I also worked with learning disabled, adjudicated felons, and sometimes I got way over my head with some of the belligerent ones. And they put them together as a team, and they just did a job on me. You can't do nothing to them. They can kick you in the shins and laugh at you, and you can't do a thing about it. And they know that. So you were at their mercy. I didn't like that feeling. That's why I didn't. I got a master's. I could have had my master's. I just would have stuck it out. I just remembered that. Oh my God, that's a job, and they were paying me less than $10,000 a year. And I had a 4-year degree. I had to fill out evaluations, their behavior, what I thought about their ability to be mechanically inclined in some area. I find out, oh yeah, this guy, I got a guy one time that was, he's my favorite one to talk about. You'll see him on the films, but he was a farm kid, 13, 14, came in stinking like a barn. All the kids would tease him with their license when they walked by him. Because he'd be in the barn working first thing in the morning, shoveling the crap and milking the cows and baling the hay and the tractor and pushing the dung out into the field and, all that stuff. And he's like 13, 14 years old. And he's having a hard time in school. So they put him up in the BOCES program to be evaluated. I was his evaluator. And I looked at him, studied him for a while. It's funny how when he first came into the room, I could smell him across the room. So I says, I'm lucky I like the smell of the barn. Because I was brought up, my uncle, every weekend, or my relatives, or Susie's relatives, go to their farm, spend a whole day there, either hunting for deer, or going out and bringing the cattle in, or going in the barn, baling the hay, watching them milk the cows, feeding the cows, all that stuff. I did that when I was a kid. So he didn't bother me as far as that goes. I don't know what the other teachers thought, but I put it, I didn't tell him about it. I didn't embarrass him or anything. But, he came in the morning and his hands were green tint, a greenish tint to him. His father wouldn't even let him wash his hands. He said, get on the bus. The bus is here. They're not going to wait for you to get to school. And he had already been working since 5 o'clock in the morning. It's probably, 7:30. Bus comes, 7:45, gets you to school around 8:30. Now, and then you get out of school, 3:30, come home, got to milk the cows. Got to have Papa in the barn. And it's the same day after day after day. And where does this guy have time to do his homework or learn something, scholastically speaking, handwriting, math skills, all that stuff, when he's working on heavy equipment most of the day, and he's only 13 or 14? So where are you going to put a kid like that? You're going to put him in the middle of a highly sophisticated educational program where he has to have a passing grade to drive the tractors and the bulldozers and all that? I think it's the other way around, my friends. You get a guy that's mechanically inclined, you teach him how to do all the mechanics, how to do the backhoe. And a backhoe guy will make twice as much as a teacher a year. And he doesn't know how to write his name, probably. Some that didn't go through the program. But this kid wasn't bad. He knew how to write his name. I'm saying they have a lot of mechanical skills, and their scholastic skills aren't up to par. Because I said to him, I'm going to recommend you to ACAD. No, I can't do that. I can't read. I can't read all those books. I can't write them papers and stuff. I says, we'll make an exception. I'll try to talk to the instructor and make an exception that they ease up a little bit on the scholastics part of it. You got to be passing scholastic to drive the tractor. Well, you don't drive the tractor tonight if you didn't do your paperwork. Drive the tractor first. Learn how to drive a tractor and dig a hole, dig a ditch, so you can make some money. You're not sitting around writing a book while you're driving a tractor or a backhoe or whatever, bulldozer. You might have headphones on and you're listening to your favorite tunes, or maybe you're intellectually listening to psychology tapes. Who knows? But the thing is that you've got a trade, and our system serviced your need. You were brought up the hard way on a farm. You don't have any. That's like going on vacation when you got to go operate the backhoe somewhere all day. $25 an hour. That was back then. Now you're probably making 45 bucks an hour. I know the mechanics, when you go in, the company charges $128 an hour for any mechanical work. And a certain percentage of that goes to the guy who's doing the mechanical work and profit for the company. And usually it's in the company's favor. They charge $128. They're probably making you 35 maybe, if you're lucky. $35 an hour. That's not bad. But if you got kids, it is bad. And you got the trades have to be emphasized in the United States, or we're going to be hiring people to fly over on planes to do work because they know how to do it and we don't. It's not that bad yet. But I'm just trying to emphasize. We got a pretty good thing going on here in the United States. Our school system is way far advanced. I've been over there. I know what's happening over there. I mean, they still have people, dirt all over them, all scuffed up and everything, laying in the gutter with bugs crawling on them. And nobody doing a thing about it. That's how Mother Teresa found somebody one time. A little lady. She brought her home and she fixed her all up, showed her kindness and love and all that. She died. But she died knowing the kindness and love of Christ, Mother Teresa. And I'm sure she's brought other ones in there that became nuns. She helped, brought them in and nursed them around. She had quite a following. I watched it one time on TV. There was a bunch of them out there. White with blue trim all the way around. Mother Teresa's people. Well, enough preaching. Didn't see my camouflage cross. Did anybody notice the camouflage? I was in camouflage. Nobody noticed it. Look at this. I had the cross on right in front of you all the time. And on here, I wear this as a reminder. It reminds me, like I have a medal on here for St. Michael, the Archangel, right? The one of them. That reminds me, hey, I got to say a prayer to him. I say, hey, St. Michael, help me out, please, this and that. He just wants you to communicate with him and remember him when you receive communion or something like that. It gives him extra power. Oh, the power of the Archangel. Wow. That's something to be reckoned. I'd hate to be on Judgment Day when they show up with their fiery swords, their laser fire swords that grow 10, 15 feet long at their will. You thought Star Wars was something. This is for real. I mean, you get zapped. They can't use them as a prod. Herding the cows, they can't use them swords. Because there's no way to turn them down, man. They're one power, and that power is to put a hole in you. I don't want anything like that coming at me. And Jesus showing up on a great big white horse with all of his archangels behind him with those type of swords, and you're standing there and says, hey, man, where's my guns and stuff? I don't have any guns. Well, that's in the other world. We're the boss now. And then you gotta look at yourself and say, I'm gonna get what I gave. And you bet you will too. That's what I say. Treat God nice because he will treat you a lot nicer. If you ignore him and disobey his rule, his laws, change his laws, you can't change God's laws to suit your lust. And that's mainly what it is lust. Your lustfulness for power and your lustfulness for money, for women, for men, vice versa, or the same. It's getting real Sodom and Gomorrah in its glory. That's the way the United States is getting. And God's got all of his veterans from the United States. They're all around him praying for the United States because we're letting people in there that are changing the laws. You can't change God's laws. The punishment for changing God's laws is war. And I'm not, oh, who's going to have the chutzpah to come up against the United States of America? Nobody's going to come up. You're going to allow everything inside to be perverted. It's going to come from within because of your law. And I get interrupted every time when I'm trying to make a point. I just take it as a grain of salt. Forgive. And the one thing I wanted to make a point is if you forgive, you can forget. But the stain is there, but not as much. The pain, the agony, it remains. There's a stain. That stain has to be removed. And how does that happen? Because if you forgive, you forget. And if you forget your stain, there's nothing to complain. But if you hate, hate begets hate, and you can't forgive. If you can't forgive, all you have is hate. For as long as you hate that person or the situation, don't forgive it, forget it. Ask God's mercy and grace that when He's doing a reset on your brain, you don't think about that anymore. Because if you think about the past, the stain from the past can bloom again. And you can find yourself right in the middle of a orgy, mentally. Because that's right where the demons will take you as quick as they can. And they try, oh, we got him now. Oh, come on. Oh, I've got stories. They possessed. I can't say it. I won't say it. But my stories will hint to you who they took over to coax me, to get me to commit mortal sin. And God saved me. Thank you, Jesus. I saw it. And I never did anything to encourage that type of situation to evolve again. So I learned a lesson. And that's what God has us here. You are a product of your environment. You are who you hang out with. If you hang out with wrong people, you get wrong behavior to emulate. Those who are holy are because they think holy and they hang out with other people who are holy. Not saying that there's still sin in there that can evolve, but it's better than what you are when you're in a community out in the middle of some city and you got a job and you got to move to that city and in the middle, you don't know what's going on. People that live there their whole life, they know exactly what's going on. And you're a new kid on the block. And they're going to test you every way they can to find out who you are. You know, you might get tested, and just as you're about ready to do the test, they say, okay, Dems, I gotta get on. And then what? They tell everybody. That's happened to a lot of people, I'm sure. So you all know what I'm talking about. But myself, I look at it as experimental learning experiment. When it got bad enough to affect my guilt, that's when I got healed. God would heal me with my guilt. My guilt was an indicator that I was doing something wrong that wasn't what God wanted me to do. I felt guilty. Oh, and I'm telling you, the demons can grab people and think up situations and make it look like something happened and it didn't. Oh, I've got some stories, but I'm going to keep it gentle and forgiving. But you can't, with life experience, you can't just throw it out. Oh, I did that. Somebody throw that. I don't want to think about that no more. That formed you. You felt the guilt from it, and now you're trying not to do it anymore because you don't like the guilt feeling. And then there's narcissists out there. We're all narcissists. At some, you can read about what a narcissist is, and you can pick out what you are, or have been, or hopefully not going to be, unless it's what a narcissist isn't. But that, Father Nick's his name is. You can get him on YouTube. He explains it pretty good. There's 10 points he says you can use when you're trying to figure out if the person you're hanging out with is a narcissist and what degree they are. You can have a, what do you call it, sociological narcissist? Sociopathic narcissist. I am up into therapies and stuff, but I dive in and out of them. I'm not an authority on them. I don't. My degree has the background, but I'm not degreed enough to have a certification. You got to have certain courses, internships. Now, I've done the internships. I've got my internship down at 6 years with BOCES, learning disabled, working with felony offenders, and good God, the behaviors that were demonstrated. Man, we had well, I'm not saying Kim. Well, yeah, that doesn't indicate anything. We had a psychiatrist's son in our program, right? And we had to evaluate him and see if he was educable or not, what his problems were, what was his frustration level, how you observed him while he was working with the other students, how did you get along, how was his sociological skills and all that, social skills. What was his perception as far as learning how to play ping pong? Never played ping pong before? You teach them how to play. Watch them develop. Then you say, oh. Then you ask them, you say, well, I think you're right-eyed. Are you right-eyed? He goes, I don't know. What do you mean I'm right-eyed? I says, do this. What do you know? I got a prop that's going to be right here. I says, take a little cylinder, and I says, and look at me in the eyes. Okay? And now I want you with both your eyes. Look at me through that cylinder with your arm fully stretched. With both your eyes. There. Now you're right in the center of that cylinder. Can you tell what eye I am? Can you? Here, let me put it up higher. Okay, I'm looking at the picture right between the two. Let's see. Let's see if it works on this. Okay, there we go. Now I'm looking at you with both of my eyes. Can you tell what eye I am? You see that? You see how automatically your dominant eye lines up with the hole? See, now I'm looking at you right there. And now I'm going to stretch my arm fully out. And I'm going to look at, let's go back a little bit. I'm going to look at you with both of my eyes through that cylinder. Okay? There I go. Right there. Can you tell what eye I am? You see what I'm talking about? Your dominant eye takes over. This is backwards in the camera. It makes you think I'm right eye, but it is. This is my left eye. This is my left hand. This is my left foot. Right? And I tilt my head to the left. But to you, if you were sitting around and you were tilting this way, you'd be tilting your head to the right. And if I turned around and I tilted my head, then that would you'd be able to see. But I'm facing you, so I'm back. I'm like a mirror image of you. So when I look at it, I would say that's my left eye over there. But actually, it's my right eye. But I have the concept in my head, you know. Okay, you're looking at me, and I'm looking at you, and the left is this, and the right. But somehow it gets turned around. You notice that when you do things like that? But just to make the point, okay, there's one trick how you can find out what. You get a toilet paper roll, and you tell your 5, 6-year-old, go over there and look at Daddy with both eyes. I want you to use both eyes now and look through that toilet paper roll at me. And he's over there, he's got the toilet paper roll out, he's looking at you. With both eyes, he's looking right at you. That's his dominant eye. Okay, enough of that. Then we go on to, okay, what are we going to do? What hand is he? I want you to take and take these. Let's see. Okay. I want you to take a little poker and what am I gonna do here? Whatever. Oh, there we go. I want you to take this poker and I want you to put it in the hole in the center of this, right? And I want you to do it real fast. How fast can you do it? Ten times, right? And then you take the other hand. Oh, that one made its own hole. Hey. Nope. 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 You see what I'm saying? Fine motor skills. I'm not. Now this hand right here, if you were to look at it in the mirror and all that, you would say that's my left hand. If you were turned around looking at me, you would say this is my left hand. This is my right hand. I'm doing it with my right hand. Now I can get it on a swivel and do like that, but what you got to do is fine motor skills. You know, you pinpointed it. I'm gonna put it in a hole. See, I'm gonna try. I can't. I keep on going up here. I'm trying to put it there. Oh well, I made my own hole. No. There, I got one. 1 out of 6. Let me see what I do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, fine motor skills. Pinpoint. Cursor. Cursing, writing. Some people have midline problems. You put a pin, like you go like this in front of their eyes and they look at the tip of the pin, right? Now watch my eyes. Let me see. Now I'm going to follow this. You tell me where my eyes jiggle if they do jiggle. Let me see. Now watch, I'm going to follow this. Watch. Okay. Now, if they came to here, your eyes come and they're looking at the tip of that, and you're right here, and your eyes go, they twitch a little, shake a little. A midline problem. Hard to read when you have something like that. And because you can't, you go from one end of the sentence and cross the back to the page and go to the next sentence down. Your ocular tracking is off. If you detect that, there's exercises that you can use on a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old child. Because you're not going to get him to do on his own. I mean, he can do it in his bed at night. Look up and do exercises. Look from one end of the room to the other end without moving his head, and then down and up, and then to one corner diagonally like that. You keep on doing that for about 9 minutes, no more than 9 minutes. All right? And that will train the muscles in his eyes if he's got a lazy eye and it kind of wanders a little bit. Have him do those exercises right there under supervision of a doctor. Now, I'm not a doctor, but read about ocular tracking on the internet. You can educate yourself real quick here. I mean, we got a lot of people out there that are a lot more educated than we realize, because they spend all day long watching this stuff. And you can get good at something real quick. Say you never put a roof on a house ever, and you get a couple of good roofing tapes, and you get yourself a part-time job somewhere, working with the guys after you know exactly what you're doing. Sometimes you'll get on the job, you'll know more than them because you watch the movies and learn all these little tricks that they don't know about. That's what the big companies are looking for when you got a new education person coming, just graduated. They're looking for all the new technologies like Universal Instrument. They are looking for the guys that know about plastics. Is there any plastic on the market that's better than the one we're using? Has there been a new one that reaches 800 degrees or it doesn't have a melting flexibility or blah, 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 blah? All the stats on what type plastics they're using now. And they don't want hire some guy that's antiquated and got a degree 20 years ago. They pull it out of the archives. That's what they do to me. It's just, when did you graduate? 78. Oh my goodness. Did they have microfiche back then? Yeah. Yeah. Rub it in. But anyways, I adjusted to my environment. We all adjust to our environment. God gave us that skill. I fear is this. We get so sophisticated that we can't train people to reach that level. And then we get all this stuff with nobody to service it, or nobody to make it better, nobody to maintenance, like I'm saying, service it, and nobody to use it. Oh, we'll find a lot of kids to use it, a lot of young adults and stuff to use the new technology. They're good, figuring things out. I know that if you watch all the movies on an iPhone, you'd probably be a lot better than the techs that are in the field. If you have a good IQ and you studied them for a year, you could get yourself a job as an iPhone tech. And they get pretty good money, them guys. They do. You got to have patience. Oh. Because half the people that call you up are so frustrated, myself included. And I've been with computers since they started in 72, and they were before that, but I was there with the guys that were anticipating being millionaires because they realized the technology that they were into. And we're talking about superior thinkers too, because I was an average thinker. I was a high school dropout, and I couldn't get an A in their math course with computer science. There's no way. I wiggled my way through it. I got a B in it. And that was from a lot of tutoring from other people. No, just to get that B. So I had a general knowledge, the DOS system. Then they changed it all around to this new system they got now, gigabytes and all that stuff. uh, I still don't know what do they call this system. Dell, a good Dell. I don't know, what do they call the system that we're operating now with Microsoft Edge or Microsoft Corporation, their technology. Imagine being a Microsoft certified tech, how much you would be worth. Because, they wouldn't just use you to service, they would use you to solve the problems that they're having in their corporation. That's everybody's complaining about and nobody knows how to solve, so they put you guys on it. You're worth a lot of money. It's just like all these big corporations now that have a slush fund for lawyers. They're just on salary. They're all frothing at the bit to bring somebody to court. If you don't pay your bill, there's some of them that don't give it to a third party to collect your bill. They do it themselves because they're set up. And it's usually a foreign country because you got to go, it's their football and you're playing in our yard, but you got to play by their rules because it's their football. Simply put. And what we're finding out is they are coming in and buying these big corporations and then they're going worldwide with them. Our technology, we didn't give it to anybody else. But they came in and bought the country, and now they're giving it to everybody. The one world government, the one world economy. We're almost there. We still have our individuality. We need to call. We need that individuality and the different languages. We need that stuff. That tamels the herd, if you want to say. And like I said, we got to concentrate more on the trades because we're going to find that we got to know how to still plow the field, people, because we're not out of the woods, even though we're almost got them all cut down in some countries. But oil, the United States has enough oil. Our last estimate in one of the 70s was 300 years. We have enough oil service the United States of America and the population for 300 years. The only fact is that we don't have enough people in the United States. We're zero population growth. Biden knows that. He's got the borders open for a reason. Because there's a lot of jobs that aren't being took. Because everybody thinks they're going to be some big exec in some big office in New York City or Washington or wherever. And a lot of them do. But there's only so many spots open. There's only so many people that can get up and excel. And it's up to you. I mean, you can be as good as you want. How much you want to sacrifice and get in there. You can have a mediocre brain and really study hard and get a good position. But these guys, they sleep and the next day you get up and solve the problem. Because they dreamt about how they're going to fix it in their sleep as enjoyment. Imagine that. Go to work in your sleep because you enjoy it. You enjoy it. That's something to think about. Well, anyways, I'm going to talk myself into how many minutes here? Oh my goodness. It couldn't be that long. An hour and 9 minutes? Whew. Well, I think I'm going to take and part this one. I'm going to start one immediately, and I'm going to stay focused on guitars. Because if I make this go over an hour and people see it, I have the guitar out there and Maybe the title isn't really appealing to them, then just skip over it. I don't want it. It's too long. I don't want to give. But if I have a following and they enjoy the conversation, because it's a one way, sorry, I don't take comments. I'm not good at taking criticism because to a lot of people, I'm just a bunch of gibberish. But to some people that are of faith, they believe in God, they hear the word of God in me. They see the maturity that has taken place since I was a pollywog, swimming up a channel, looking for life. And that's all we are, people. A little pollywog. And gruesome arms and legs and head. Maybe we have big bullfrog eyes. I try to be humorous sometimes too. But can you imagine that? From a tadpole, pollywog frog, squirmy wormy, to the Defender Man? Well, that's only if I'm good on the guitar, right? And I'm worth being called the Defender Man? Oh, have you heard the Defender Man yet? Who's he? Oh, he's some old-time Vietnam veteran, decorated. If I don't tell you, who's going to tell you? Bronze Star for bravery, and from Vietnam, Medal of Bravery. Thanks for defending their country. We did all that. And we were divided, North Vietnam and South Vietnam. And North Vietnam made the move, and I guess God's will, everything's done. You know, because now we got a shirt the other day that says Made in Vietnam. It didn't say South or North, it just says Made in Vietnam. They assimilated. Cultural clash is what they call it. The United States came in with all their technology and all that stuff. Too bad it didn't have the morals that it once had. I didn't observe. I observed compassion. I observed empathy. I observed the traits that are good, of goodness. I observed that in our services. It just permeates all through it. But we get into relaxed positions like bars. We allow our people to leave, and then that's where the demons step in and take over our soldiers. Most of them married too. They come after them. Oh, I don't know how to explain what they do over there. One tactic, I'll just say one tactic is as soon as you walk in a place, if you're wearing a hat, you better put it in your pocket, stuff it down your pants or something first. Because once one of those girls gets your hat, you're chasing her all night long to try to get it back. And that's what she wants. Just simple things like that. I don't want any friendship with you. I just want my hat back. But she's flirting with you, and she's giving you the Jezebel eyes, all that. And it's against the law for them to do that, but they do it anyways. They got their own little laws over there. Believe it or not, Philippines is a very Christian nation. I mean, they have some Filipino women over there, from what I hear, that could convert probably the Muslims. If they could speak their language. They are devoted little beings, that's for sure. But I experienced, I wasn't really religious yet. I mean, I was practicing Catholic, but I didn't have God as I wanted to be my main thought 24/7. Stay in tune with God, because you'll notice when you do things in life and the decisions that you make, the discernments that you make, if they're holy, they're good. If you're unholy, then you start experiencing trauma, strife, uneasiness, guilt, all those little things that make it so the outcome is you're so frustrated and you start hating. That's the one thing you got to really fight, is hate. Hate. Oh, my goodness. I love God with my heart and soul, but I hate being took until I realize that God says, you give to the least of these you gave to me. Don't worry what they did with what you gave them. You gave that to me. If they're turn around and you see them, you put a beautiful, my case, I put a beautiful chain, my old chain, miraculous metal, on the least of the panhandlers hang out in the front of the church. I stopped. I didn't realize he's acting stupid, but when he spotted what I wanted to give him, he just says, put it on my head. Put it on my head. Come on. Why did he want me to put it around his head? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. He was just a little guy. But he was a con artist. Whoa, he had all the elderly ladies praying for him and trying to help him out. He just had a weekly collection there. He's making more money than the church probably was on his collection. This guy's got you before you got in there. He got what you're going to give in the collection. He got you to give it to him. And the priest, what's he going to do? He's going to say, get out of here. We don't want you around here. No. As time will tell. Who knows? Maybe every day the little old lady's praying for him and helping him out and sympathizing, and he grows empathy. He experiences it. You are who you hang out with. You are the behavior that you're exposed to a lot of times. Fresh new people, they can have different opinions and stuff, but if you hang around together for a long time, a little bit of you rubs off on them and vice versa. It's called cultural clash. All depends on who's the dominant culture. And then you have the subdominants learning. So if you got a dominant culture in and they're sophisticated, they got technology, they're well versed, they're educated, their mannerism is distinguishable or distinguished, and they have poor morals, like sucking beers down in the middle of a hangar in Cameron Bay with a little girl that looked like she was 10 years old with her underwear on doing hoochie coochie. And everybody's going, oh, let me see, I'll put $1 in there. And it wasn't everybody. Everybody was standing back laughing at the guys that had the guts to go in there and do that stuff. I don't know if it was a show or not. But, the dollar bills start flowing in, Hey, give me a peek. Oh, little. To me, she looked like a 10-year-old little kid. She was 30, 25, somewhere around there. Cultural clash. And what did they learn about from Americans? Did they get the perception that all of us are immoral? Because we all laughed when we watched the show going on? And then there's talk after that. People that were there, those people that were dancing had relatives and friends that were with them, backing them up. They were getting paid. Let's hire some dancers, bring some dancers in. Oh, put a collection, okay. And then some of them would be there just like they are on the river, begging you to throw a quarter in, and they dive down, they find the darn quarter in dark black river that you've been told if you fall in it, you'll have to have a series of 30 shots, and they're diving in there after quarters and everything and throwing them off the bridge to them. They're talking about dirt poor people. And when you come up dirt poor, you can be in a lot of trouble because it doesn't take much to get you into trouble, money-wise. The devil goes after the young, and then he comes back when you're old. The only time that you wear diapers is when you come into the world and when you go out of the world, right? That's true. For a lot of people, that's true. Same thing. The demon comes after the young and the old. And in between, you don't have to worry because nowadays you got like 70% of us. Whew. Man. We're hanging on by the skinny skin of our chin. I just did that. Do you realize that when Christ was walking with the cross, they grabbed his beard and yanked it out of his head? Can you imagine that? I just took one little teeny hair and pulled out cheapers. Holy cow. We think about the wounds in his hand. And what about on his shoulders where the cross was? He had to carry it rubbed into his shoulder and dug it down, gouged it out and everything. He had to put it on the other shoulder because it was too irritating for that shoulder. And he almost made it to the mound, and he had to call for help. And that's when Simon came and picked the cross up and walked it with Jesus. The backbone. Jesus called on the backbone of the soul. And guess what? The backbone of the soul is the Negro. It even rhymes. You let that spirit loose in the world, we'll all be on our knees praying to God because we'll see holiness like you've never seen before. Right out of the bush. I'm talking about blowguns and spears people. They got a deep, deep faith in God. And that's what he needs. He needs that. And if you have that, you don't have to worry because he'll take over. He'll take over and you'll be whatever he wants you to be. If you follow his way and don't sway. See how it rhymes? There's some people that live a very holy life and then all of a sudden they get, oh, it happened, that happened. I'm sick of this whole, I'm giving up, I can't handle it no more. And they go out and they sin worse than the worst sinners that are out there. And then they die. And you say to yourself, that man lived a holy life his whole life. And then he went and did that. Is he going to be in heaven? God can only judge that. What the Bible says he's not. Ezekiel. The book of Ezekiel tells you about who's going to make it, who's not. If you got a sinner that is bad news. Probably all the way, he could be in the 72s. Bad news in the 72s. See how that rhymes? I'm not trying to make a joke out of it. I'm just saying, let's be a little humorous about it. And then change his ways and follow God. It's like that parable about people working in the field. Guy came in early morning, he went out in the field. Another guy came in, 2 hours later, he went out half an hour, more. Right at the end of the day, somebody goes out in the field for an hour or so. Then they come back to get their wages. And the guy that's worked out there all day long says, well, I'm going to get more than that guy that came. He's not thinking that until after he sees what was paid to the laborers. And he paid them all the same. Why? I worked all day long and I don't get more than he gets? He gets the same as me? He was only here? That's God's generosity. You can't stifle God's generosity. Who can stifle God's? Only sin. And that's why the devil works overtime. Because he's out to prove that God has lost his marbles. He wants to be a pollywog king among the archangels and boss them around, tell them what to do and everything. They're subservient now. Ask an archangel how he was created. He can't tell you. He was just there because God willed it so. With all the gifts and everything. The prototype. God says, that's nice. And he lives 100,000 years with that environment. Then he notices that they're losing respect somehow. Because his angels are getting so smart and so beautiful that they're getting prideful and considering themselves on the same level as God, the omnipotent God that we all love, serve, and understand, but understand in different levels. We all understand God in different ways. God is different to everyone. It's just like you and I are here right now. That's the way it's going to be with God. He's everywhere. He can function. He can be in a conversation and another person, another type of conversation. He can handle it all. He was a little bit upset because there wasn't enough people being saved. He wants everybody to be saved. He can handle it. He's got a kingdom waiting for us. He is just, he's exuberant. He wants to share it all with us and show us everything. And we got to have gratitude, respect, and devotion, and most of all, surrender. Surrender to God's will. That's the way to heaven. Everything else will be given to you. Just seek Him and be holy, because holiness begets holiness. Evil begets evil. You are who you hang out with. You get what you give. And you receive what you believe. So believe that you're saved and God is in charge. He's working in your life. You shouldn't have any worries at all. Everybody says, well, what about that little old lady that walked across the street and fell on her face, just got out of church, went to mass, and confession and all that. She walked across the street, missed the curb, fell flat in the face. Glasses went in her eye and broke her nose, and the ambulance came, carried away. And a voice says, yeah, there's a God, all right. Yeah, he took care of her, didn't he? How does the Holy Spirit answer something like that? Human frailty. That is the answer. Are you able to jump rope like you did when you were 10 and now you're 70? Can you jump rope like you did when you were 10, 12, 13? For as long as you did? That shows human frailty and its growth from agile and vibrant and vigorous to, hey man, it's been a long life. What's next? I heard a voice one time after I said, Bill, he says, you think you got good right now? Because I was in good shape, man. Like I always say, I ran with the deer, and that's for sure I did. I ran with the silver medalist, Olympic silver medalist. I ran with him, stayed up with him. I had a lot of experience in different areas, God. I'd have thoughts about something, and then a couple days later it happens. On TV, somebody else is doing it, something. I said, what? I was just thinking about that the other day. Have you ever done that? Yeah, you have a thought. It's holy. I'm not talking about having delirious visions about the girl next door or whatever up the street. I don't know. That's what celibacy does. That's why I'm a little bit apprehensive as far as they say that should be a mortal sin. Because you can't help it. And you're a man, and you have desires, and the whole thing about manhood is reproduction. We got this drive that has just carried us through generations and generations. Well, it depends on whose drive is the hardest, I guess. Oh, see what I mean? The devil can, he's infiltrated the English language. That's how he gets me. I say a word, and I get a double meaning to it. But it fits right into what I'm saying, but it guides your thoughts in another direction. That's why I said, God, you got to teach me Latin. I'm speaking Latin now. Can you believe that? Gracia planta, Domino. Benedictum tui, Peccatori. I'm just thinking about Latin words that I'm learning. I'm tackling the Latin channel as far as I want to plant in my heart the Our Father and the Hail Mary in Latin. So when I say it, I can't be misguided down a thought lane that a word would guide me to make the prayer not holy. I know what Latin means, the concept of what I'm saying, and they're all new words to me. I know how to pronounce them, I know how to say them, and I know how to sing them. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing too. I keep on saying, I'm going to do. Well, did I go another hour? Okay, this is within the limit. Come on now. Come on. Yep. Hour and a half. Okay. I'll be back.